On this edition of The West, we've been told that radon is dangerous in our homes. So why are these people flocking to Western mines to breathe it? John Gibson reports.
The low-level radiation is stimulating your autoimmune system.
They're modern-day road warriors. Joe Oliver takes you on the streets with unlicensed tow truck drivers, competing so fiercely that innocent people are being killed.
You got 33 trucks trying to come to the same scene.
And Vicki Liviakis tells you why rural minorities say the environmental movement is racist.
They're making us poorer, catering to some wealthy hunters that want to come in here and get trophies.
All on this edition of The West, the news magazine of the West.
Welcome to The West. I'm Joe Oliver. In the Old West, highwaymen would wait for victims along the trails across the open range. Today, they use the freeways, trading in their horses for horsepower. It's an unlicensed, often illegal pursuit of profits called bird dogging. Tow truck drivers turned road warriors, racing from accident to accident, causing more accidents along the way. Los Angeles police call Tony Reedberg the godfather of bird doggers. Out on the streets, he's known simply as the Dead Man.
I used to work for the coroner's office.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Picking up the bodies.
Dead Man and his driver Will now work for themselves, picking up cars. They're known in LA as bird dogs, bandits, freelance towers.
All right, Will.
A day at work is a wild towed ride from one car crash to another. Dodging, weaving, and racing through rush hour traffic.
At Figueroa, there's going to be a lot of traffic right up in there because of the accident. And you got to watch these fools out here, too.
There are plenty of wrecks to harvest during LA's evening rush hour. Almost 200 calls a day come crackling through the scanner.
Wilshire units on 7863, 7863.
Here come 4-star, drone.
Even with so many wrecks, it's still tough to be first on the scene.
Here's Beverly Hills Exotic, right here. Gene. You got to slow down, Will. It's very competitive. It's very. You got 33 trucks trying to come to the same scene.
In their manic efforts to get to a wreck, bird doggers are causing them. The competition has turned into a death race on LA streets. In 1987, 3 children and their aunt killed by a bird dogger. A few months ago, a 13-year-old boy was killed by a bird dogger driving a truck owned by Dead Man. LA cops are fed up with these Western road warriors, and Detective Steve Bernard and his team are cracking down.
Here's a bandit right here to the left. That's your typical bandit tow vehicle. That he's got a radio up right now, and he's probably monitoring police calls.
A legitimate tower has to be called to an accident by the police, but bird doggers use police scanners to get a jump on the competition, and that's illegal.
You got a scanner in there, Eli. Come on, you lied to me, man. I'm going to ask you, do you have a police commission permit?
No, I don't.
Okay.
By leaving the lighter out like this, it disconnects the radio. When you engage the lighter, they have it hooked up so that the radio frequency is broadcast. That's LAPD frequency right there, West Traffic Division.
The whole situation has gotten out of control, and in the last 4 years, we've had 4 youngsters and 1 adult killed by a traffic, a tow truck racing to a traffic accident scene, and we've actually seen them drive over sidewalks.
At one time, I would roll. It never mattered. Crossing wrong side of the street, it never mattered. Bus stop benches, whatever. But now, I've had so many accidents, I had to quit.
But Dead Man hasn't quit bird dogging. It's just that now he lets his sidekick, Will, do the driving.
Where are you going? I know where I'm going, man. I know you're going on this side of the turn.
The reason Dead Man won't quit bird dogging is because there's just too much money to make towing wrecks.
Car like that, you bring that car in, that's $600 car. The money that we make is from the body shop. The insurance company gives you enough money They pay for the towing, everything. You understand?
What Deadman is describing is known as capping. Here's how it works. The owner of the body shop gets the $600 to pay the bird dogger from the insurance company by padding the repair bill. That's a form of insurance fraud. It's part of a problem that's costing the California insurance industry alone more than $1 billion, that's $1 billion with a B, dollars a year. It's also one reason why insurance costs keep getting higher. Bird doggers don't just make money off of cars. They also make money off of the people in the cars.
They want to send them to the attorney, the doctor. You know, the attorney pays you. Attorney pays them, pay them good, you know. From a traffic accident, from a referral, you can get $1,500 a whop. Each person that's in that car. That's That's $4,500 for 3 people. And that's for personal injuries.
Getting a kickback from an attorney is illegal, but Deadman sees nothing wrong with the practice.
Which actually is no more than what Jacoby and Myers do. You understand? They advertise it all day long over the TV. Now, what's make them more better than me?
Deadman admits that what he does is illegal, but he's quick to point out there are bigger crooks than he cruising the streets.
These are the junkers to be stealing cars off the freeway. They scammers to go around the service stations and look at old cars that's got a lot of dust on them and stuff. They'll hook them up and be gone with them. They're old Curtis Jr. See, there's some old thugs, you know? That's old Curtis Jr. now. See, they the ones that made it bad, too. See, his dad's in the penitentiary now behind insurance fraud. You got tow truck drivers out there that's not tow truck drivers. You got guys that's just using tow truck. Hey, man, we got traffic up here. Come on, Will.
Bird doggers have become a problem in every major city of the West. Houston, for example, has a reputation for being another of what's known in the industry as a chase city. Back in Southern California, there's so much money to be made bird dogging, organized crime may be moving in. Word is LA's street gangs want a piece of the bird dog action.
Still to come, John Gibson takes us deep below the West to meet people in search of a controversial cure.
You just take this, and if they got a little wart on top of their head, then they just take that and rub it on there.
They pay for the privilege of breathing radioactive radon gas. But first, Vicki Liviakis takes us to a modern-day range war on the plains of New Mexico.
You run 1,000 head of sheep through this little deal right in here. It'd be just like a lawnmower coming through there and clipping it. Look like a golf course is what it'll look like.
Stay with us.
A few weeks ago, one of our guards at NBC was talking with me in the hallway. We talked about the time we were in the service. He was in Vietnam, and he said he was praying this war wouldn't turn out like that one. Then tears welled up in his eyes as he asked why he wasn't treated the way the soldiers in the desert are being treated. Well, his prayer has been half answered. This war was not like Vietnam. The rest of it's pretty much up to us. Maybe now we can make sure our soldiers who were in the jungle are treated the same as our soldiers who were in the desert.
The perfect car for California would have the spirit of European engineering, the appeal of Japanese design, and the dignity of British elegance. All at a good old American price. The Chrysler LeBaron. No wonder it's the best-selling convertible in the country.
And now get $1,000 cash back on all new 91 LeBaron convertibles. Buy or lease one today.
If you need a job or you want to change careers, you probably think you're alone. But what you might not know is that help is available. Help that is high quality, professional, and free. Women at Work in Pasadena, a nonprofit career and job resource center, has already helped thousands of women find the right job at the right salary.
Any questions, ask me.
Women at Work staff counselors are skilled and caring, and they have direct connections with dozens of Southern California's largest corporations. If you're an employer, the job listings are free, and our employees are qualified. If this sounds right for you, call Women at Work, 818-796-6870. There's no cost and no obligation, and there is help. Call Women at Work, 818-796-6870.
Welcome back to the West. I'm Vicki Liviakis. Could the environmental movement be racist? Some Hispanics in rural New Mexico think so, because from their point of view, policies designed to protect wildlife endanger their way of life, and they've been willing to defy state laws to get people to listen. This is the West's version of Appalachia. It's the Chama Valley of northern New Mexico, where the average income per family is just over $8,000 a year. Sheep, sheep meat, sheep wool, and wool artwork. It's the lifeblood of these people.
Easy, girls, easy.
For generations, descendants of Spaniards have tended descendants of the original flocks. But sheep need to eat, and land is scarce. So shepherds who call themselves Ganados del Valle did something that shocked their neighbors. It shocked the Fish and Game Department and shocked environmentalists. They took their flocks onto a wildlife refuge.
We had no place to go. We were up against the wall. We didn't take this lightly when we did that. We really thought long and hard about it, and there was a certain amount of fear.
But when it comes down to it, you trespassed. It's a wildlife refuge.
I mean, you know, it's like a lot of good law was created in this country because of civil disobedience, and that's what we did.
Their act of civil disobedience got attention, all right. It pitted sheep against wildlife, wild elk in particular.
When you run 1,000 head of sheep through this little deal right in here, it'd be just like a lawnmower coming through there and clipping it. Look like a golf course is what it'll look like.
This is a part of the country where elk are more common than crows and more valued than big game to hunters.
This is elk heaven. And this valley right here, it's probably one of the major businesses that runs the valley and the town of Chama and the surrounding areas. A lot of people make a lot of money off the wildlife here.
How much money? Wildlife hunting brings in $350 million a year to the state of New Mexico. In comparison, sheep are small change.
There is prejudice that operates in terms of basically Hispanic, Mexican, low-income communities standing up and saying, folks, you're making us poorer at the expense of, of catering to some wealthy hunters that want to come in here and get trophies.
Government authorities insist that their role is simply to protect wildlife, and in their view, sheep threaten wildlife. The shepherds think it's something else. The ranchers of Ganados are Hispanic, and some claim that is why they've been denied grazing rights.
I don't believe it is treating them unfairly, no. I don't know how it could be treating them unfairly. We're just obeying the law. The only reason I can think of why she would make that claim is because it might further her goals of getting sheep back on those areas.
And that's what environmentalists worry about, sheep and the way they eat.
There's a lot of scientific evidence that grazing and wildlife protection are incompatible.
Is grazing bad for the environment? Is it bad for wildlife?
No, I don't think it's bad for the environment, and I don't think it's bad for wildlife if it's properly managed.
These plant species have evolved for centuries and centuries with natural wildlife grazing, but when you bring in domestic livestock, it's a whole different story.
People have been here for 200, 300, and 400 years, and some new arrival from California who joins the Sierra Club is not going to tell us what to do.
Despite all the harsh words, this story, at least for the moment, appears to have a peaceful ending. The shepherds have secured enough temporary grazing rights to live and no longer are defying the state by trespassing on the wildlife refuge. They've also formed a cooperative that's making sheep herding profitable again. Instead of selling wool wholesale for a few dollars, the cooperative turns the wool over to a community-owned weaving company, which produces hand-loomed blankets. The price tag anywhere from $25 to $3,000 a piece. Now, who would buy a blanket for $3,000? Those same rich city folks the people in the Chama Valley were complaining about.
Up next, these people think breathing radioactive gas is a magic cure-all. What do the doctors say? John Gibson brings one along as we visit the West's miracle mines when we come back.
Yes! Thanks for coming over, Freddie Faye. Did you bring some dirty clothes?
Yes.
You know, I hate to do a wash without a full load. It's another great way to save water. Just fire a few delicates in there, Fred.
Souvenir. That should do it.
Fred, it's full. What about my clothes? I'm sorry, Fred. You're going to have to wait because you should never wash without doing a full load. I knew that.
Join the Channel 4 Water Watch.
The more you know about the housing problems in your area, the more you can learn from the Many Mansions program in Thousand Oaks. This project offers a rent subsidy to families, which allows residents to stay in their homes instead of becoming part of the growing number of homeless in Ventura County. Many Mansions was founded in 1979 by local churches, synagogues, and community organizations. Today, with financial assistance from the City of Thousand Oaks and individual sponsors, this organization helps couples and single parents remain in the community where they grew up.
We offer this centuries-old prayer for all who served and sacrificed in the cause of peace.
Welcome back to the West. I'm John Gibson. Radon gas is a health hazard that people try to get vented out of their homes and miners try to avoid when working underground. Yet in one small town in rural Montana, people suffering from arthritis and other painful, often incurable conditions are turning to radon as a way to ease their pain. These people go into old mines to breathe radon. No one has ever proved it does them any good, but that fact has not stopped them from heading underground.
Hello. Oh, hi there.
You can't see radon or smell radon or taste radon, but the people who while away their hours in old mines where radon is seeping out of the cracks just know they're getting a radon cure for all their aches and pains.
I did have trouble in my shoulder. I couldn't lift my arm any higher than that the first time we came. But before I left, and since then, I've never had any problem with my arms or shoulder.
It was very painful, and there's nothing that they can do for it, the medical professions, except give me an ulcer from the medication.
So why sit in a mine?
Because it works, or it appears to work.
Come on.
Yeah, it really does. It works.
Boulder, Montana is radon central. Here there are at least 6 separate mines within a few miles of each other, each claiming to give you the radon you want, the radon you need. All you've got to do is walk in one of the mines and spend about an hour reading a book or something. You get the radon simply by breathing. Some radon mine operators will sell you a radon pillow, which is nothing more than a sack filled with slightly radioactive dirt.
Well, if your shoulder hurts, you just lay it up on your shoulder. And if your hip hurts, lay down on it. That's about the best thing. Just take this, and if they got a little wart on top of their head, then they just take that and rub it on there. And then they do that every time they come in the mine, and it will take it off.
You cure dogs, too?
Oh, yes. I have seen dogs that could hardly walk, and they bring them in here, and then they get up and they run and jump, and they have them. Now, dogs want to get back in here again. Dogs know that they're getting relief when they come here. You bet.
If this stuff does work, how does it work? The people with aches have theories.
I myself personally feel that the reason this works seriously is that it stimulates the low-level radiation is stimulating your autoimmune system.
This is not a universally accepted therapy. Doctors often scream quack when patients say they're headed for the mines to get a cure.
I think Barnum said that a long time ago. There's a sucker born every minute.
You think these people are suckers?
Absolutely.
So far, the farthest away I've found is somebody from Minnesota.
This is Dr. Art Shearer, president of the Northwest Rheumatological Association. We asked him to come into the Free Enterprise Mine, one of Boulder's most popular, to look for himself. What's your objection?
Selling something that you don't have, something that is not there.
But you see,
charging people money for something that you're not giving them.
But you see all those people walking out with a smile on their face, feeling better.
That's not the test of whether medicine works or not.
Dr. Shearer isn't simply being harsh. He's being scientific, and so is the Montana State Health Department. On our request, Montana health officials tested the radon levels in the mine we were visiting. It was the first test in 3 years, and maybe the test should have been done before we asked.
It's kind of a surprise to us that the concentration of radon in the mine during that 5-minute period that we took the sample yesterday was at least 3 times greater than anything we've seen, 3 times greater than the highest reading that we've seen in the past.
After that first sample, the health officials had to go back and retest to see if their first test was true. The result was simple. Radon was gathering in concentrations too high for the hours of exposure visitors were getting. That meant in order for the mine to continue to sell 32 hours of exposure for $100, mine owners will actually be forced to vent out 2/3 of the radon in the mine. Despite all that, mine visitors say criticism from the medical establishment is just sour grapes.
I would say that they don't like the competition.
Why is that?
Well, if you're going to get feeling so well here that you don't need to take the pills, somebody's losing the money on the pills.
Ah, there's a dumpster. Here's a lady who says the doctors can't sell her pills anymore. In fact, she's throwing away her Percocet, a serious painkiller for serious multiple sclerosis.
You don't want to screw that. There she goes.
What do you say to the doctors who say, look, it is having no effect other than the placebo effect?
Well, that's fine. All I say is if it's going to help me even psychologically, that's all I need. I just feel better and I don't have to take any more painkillers, and this is why I'm here.
Forward, back.
For 30 years, nobody has been able to prove whether radon mines actually relieve anybody's aches. It's just the opposite. The government has proved too much radon can lead to serious health problems. So it's left to the person seeking a cure to not get too much of this cure. The radon mines are not regulated by state health authorities yet. For many years, the mine owners have held off regulation by promising to follow government guidelines. What we discovered has prompted health officials to take another look to see if tighter regulations are warranted.
If you'd like transcripts or videotapes of the West, they're available for a fee through Journal Graphics Incorporated. You can call toll-free 1-800-825-5746 or mail your requests along with any questions or comments about the West to 3 Television Circle, Sacramento, California, zip code 95814.
I met him on Saturday. He is so cute. I've never felt like this before. He has the most amazing eyes. When he smiles at me, I can just tell that we need each other. Hey, big fella.
Emily is a volunteer helping babies with AIDS. To learn what else you can do in your community, call the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
All network newscasts are the same. False. NBC News introduces The Daily Difference. 5 special reports each week, every week. Important news reports about people and issues vital to you and your family. Reports that set NBC Nightly News apart from all the others. Now, all newscasts are not the same. NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, making a daily difference in your life.
What do you see when you look at the sink plot? A jellyfish. Everyone sees something different. A butterfly. They're all correct. That's normal. A pool of water. It's called point of view. That's why CNBC follows the market across the globe. From our studios on Wall Street to our international bureaus in Tokyo and London. Because at CNBC, we realize there's more than one way to interpret a story. CNBC Daytime. It's good business.
Welcome back. We have some follow-ups on some stories we told you about earlier on the West. First, here's the latest on Diana Lambrera, who prosecutors in Texas and Kansas suspect of killing more than half a dozen kids, all but one of them her own. A judge has ordered her to serve a second life sentence. That means she won't be eligible for parole for 40 years. Then there's the yew tree. About a year ago, we told you about how it may contain a cure for cancer. Now the federal government and a major cancer drug manufacturer have signed an agreement that should allow yew trees on millions of acres of federal land in the Pacific Northwest to be preserved for later harvest. The agreement is expected to produce enough Taxol to treat 12,000 cancer patients.
Now for a look ahead to next week. Do triple trailer trucks kill? I'll introduce you to some people who say they do.
I didn't want to see other people have to suffer the way our family has.
At least one group is battling to get the big rigs off the roads, but Western truckers aren't backing away from the controversy.
Oh, I've seen this. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Well, so what? So what? My comment to that is, so what?
A big battle over big trucks next week. I'll introduce you to some Indian artists who can no longer call themselves Indian artists under penalty of federal law.
And I'll show you the latest weapon in the war against wrinkles, a head-to-toe, full-body plastic surgery makeover.
I'm going to fight Mother Nature every bit of the way. I don't find anything wrong with that.
Follow this Western woman's attempt to turn back the clock next week on the West.
Until then, thanks for inviting us into your home. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
You got tow truck drivers out there that's not tow truck drivers. You got guys that's just using tow truck. Hey man, we got traffic up here. Come on, Will.
Grazing and wildlife protection are incompatible.
If you're going to get feeling so well here that you don't need to take the pills, somebody's losing the money on the bills.